Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the conversation here. And today I got a pretty dope topic for you guys, coming at you guys at a different angle. And the question is, could Jayson Tatum pose more of a threat to Kawhi and these Clippers than more people are giving them credit for? Before we get into that, I want you guys to go ahead and hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get to 5,000 subscribers as soon as possible. And also make sure you hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop some content so you don't miss anything. So with that being said, let's just get back into it. Now, as we all know that training camp is already underway in the Orlando bubble, and things are, a lot of players are looking fresh. They've been off for about 3 months now, so everyone seems to be healthy. Things seem to be up and running, although the circumstances are a little bit different. I think, the break, really helped all of these players because I'm sure a lot of them had some knick-knack injuries that they had garnered throughout the season. And now I think that pause in games allowed them to just really heal up their bodies, get refreshed, go into a new focus. I mean, I was recently listening to Patrick Beverley when he was talking to the media, and he said that, being able to be in the bubble, being in your room, being secluded, it's allowing him to really just focus in on basketball, eliminate distractions. And I think a lot of players are going to use this opportunity to just really get refocused. I think under normal circumstances, if you're playing home games, you're at home, you're with your family, the things happening in your household, around your family, things that you have to attend to, then you're traveling on the road and all of these different things that may happen on the road, incidents, whatever it is. I think if players understand the reason that they're there and that they're there to compete and they're on a business trip, and don't gripe about the fact that they're there, I think certain players are really going to make the most of it. So in this video, I want to pay some attention to the Boston Celtics. And I think that, a lot of the analysts are, including myself, we pick a lot of the conventional teams to make it to the championship, the Clippers, Lakers, Milwaukee Bucks. Some people pick the Houston Rockets, and some people have like some sleepers like the Philadelphia 76ers. There are a few people out there. But looking at the Eastern Conference, I want to look at, how things could pan out. For example, if given that I believe that the Clippers are going to make it to the NBA championship, then we have to look at the landscape on the Eastern Conference and see who they could potentially, go up against. Now, you could possibly see a rematch between Kawhi Leonard and Giannis Antetokounmpo in the playoffs, and we recently did a video on that. We're going to link it in the description below and show it somewhere in the video here, so you guys can definitely go ahead and check that out. But I think the Boston Celtics are alive. I think they're alive, and I think they're dangerous. And if you look at the current standings in the Eastern Conference right now, the Boston Celtics have the number 3 seed, right behind the Toronto Raptors, who've been, the major surprise to me, and the Milwaukee Bucks. The Boston Celtics have a 43-21 record, which is pretty impressive. But if you look at their all-star, Jayson Tatum, the dude is averaging 23.6 points a game, getting you 7.1 rebounds and 3 assists a game. Now, mind you, Jayson Tatum is only 22 years old, and the guy is 6'8", 210 pounds. Now, if we go a little bit deeper in his numbers and we look at his numbers this season, mind you, this is just his 3rd season in the NBA. The guy is playing about 35 minutes a game. He's shooting 44.8% from the field. He's shooting 40% from the three-point line, which is pretty impressive because he's attempting 7.1 three-pointers a game and making 2.8. So he's a legitimate 40% three-point shooter. He's shooting 80% from the free throw line. It's pretty interesting. One would assume that he would shoot a higher percentage from the free throw line. Maybe that has something to do with his concentration at the free throw line. A lot of these when you look at these numbers, you're not really taking them into context. You don't know when the majority of his free throws are coming. Are they coming in the 4th quarter, the 1st quarter, the 3rd quarter, whatever it is? So that's why sometimes stats can be a little bit deceiving unless you want to go into the advanced analytics where you really start breaking it down by shot charts and different things like that, and waning moments, defensive win shares and all of that. But I'm not going to get into that because that's just a little bit too much mental gymnastics. I don't think you guys need that. I think the traditional stats tell a very clear picture about how a player performs. And I think when you get a little bit too deep into the analytics and advanced metrics, you can start to paint a lot of stupid arguments. For example, I remember a few years ago when one of these, I forgot his name, he came on ESPN and said Kobe Bryant is like the 5th or the seventh most clutch NBA player in the league, and then he had Dirk Nowitzki at, I think, number 5, and then he had some nobody at number 1, and Tracy McGrady called him out on his nonsense, saying if you have Kobe at number 7, you have Dirk Nowitzki at number 5, then how come you have this no name at number one? And it turned out to be some guy that's not the number one option on the team as far as scoring. He's not the one that teams have their defensive schemes skewed towards. And he's just a guy that may have hit a couple of shots in winning moments of games. And this guy came on TV and wanted to make an argument using analytics to say that Kobe Bryant was the seventh best player. So I think we need to just be a little bit mindful and cautious about that, because analytics can lead, and a lot of times, to stupidity. A lot of people can make a lot of dumb arguments using numbers. So that's that. Now, if you look at his steals, the guy is getting you 1.4 steals a game and 0.9 in blocks. So Jayson Tatum is really electrifying. Now, if we look at his performances against the Clippers, because remember, I'm picking the Clippers to go to the NBA Finals, and if the Clippers potentially play against the Boston Celtics, we have a sample. It's a small sample. They've only played twice this regular season, and that's all the amount of games you generally play, because Eastern Conference and Western Conference teams only play each other twice, and teams within the same conference, I think, play each other 4 times. So they've played each other 2 times. All right. Now, they played in October, and I believe that, if I'm looking at this correctly, the Clippers won that game 107-104. All right. In that game, I'm just going to focus on Jayson Tatum for a moment. He played 41 minutes. He got you 30 points and 6 rebounds. His running mate, Jaylen Brown, got you 9 points and 6 rebounds. And Kemba Walker got you 13 points and 9 rebounds. And let me just say, for this to be true, a lot of it is predicated on how his running mates play. His supporting cast needs to play well. He's playing with an all-star in Kemba Walker, who's the replacement for Kyrie Irving, who seems to have a better team chemistry with the team than Kyrie Irving did. So he has that on his side. But for all of this to be true, his teammates need to show up as well. So that was one of the meetings that they had. And I think a more recent meeting when they met, I believe it was in February in this year, the Boston Celtics won that game. Listen to these numbers, 141-133. Now, if we look at the game this time around, Gordon Hayward chipped in 21 points and 13 rebounds. He played 48 minutes, but the game went to overtime. Jayson Tatum scored 39 points and 9 rebounds, and Marcus Smart chipped in 31 points. But the guy, if you watch that game, if you guys didn't see the game or you didn't see the highlights, Jayson Tatum was practically unguardable that game. He was just sensational all throughout the game. And if you look on the Clippers side, the bench was tremendous. As again, Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell basically chipped in 60 points off the bench, because Lou Williams scored 35 points and Montrezl Harrell scored 24 points. But Kawhi chipped in 28 and 11, and Paul George was a no-show in that game. But if you look at the first game that they played where the Clippers won, Kawhi Leonard, again, wasn't sensational. He got you 17 points and 6 rebounds. So it was a team effort, and Paul George chipped in 25 points, 8 assists, and 5 rebounds that game. So he was really, really sensational. But Jayson Tatum is the X factor. I mean, he has a really good complement of players on his team. As I mentioned before, Jaylen Brown, Javonte Green, and his Cantor, Gordon Hayward, Taco Fall, Semi, and Marcus Smart. So he has a good complement of players with him. But I think if you look at him individually, I think he's a very difficult matchup for anyone. Number one, if you look at his height, he's 6'8". He's very elusive. He's a great shooter. He can shoot from pretty much anywhere on the court, so he's very, very crafty. He's very hard to guard because he shoots a really high percentage from the three-point line. So if you leave him open coming off of screens or or just spotting up and hitting threes, he's most likely going to hurt you a lot. And I think he's going to be a really tough guard no matter who he goes up against, especially in the Eastern Conference. And I think he's going to be one of the most lethal players in the Eastern Conference this year in the coming playoffs. And I think a lot of people should not overlook him because he's definitely going to be a factor. He has some playoff experience. Not too long ago, remember when he took, he was a young pup, but they went to the Eastern Conference Finals against LeBron James and these guys, and he really showed you flashes of what he could be. But this year, undoubtedly, he is the number one option for the Boston Celtics, and I think that he can make some noise in the playoffs. So he's definitely someone we should be on the lookout for. So what I want to know from you guys is, do you think that Jayson Tatum could be a real legitimate threat in the playoffs with the Boston Celtics, or do you think I'm looking too much into it? Whatever you guys think, Please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Remember, we're trying to get to 5,000 subscribers as soon as possible. And hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamers Pro. Wishing you guys an amazing day. Peace.